You think that we like that we have this issue?
Yes.
You think we wouldn't prefer if men would stay out of women's sports?
No, I think you guys at Fox like covering it.
Do you think that we created it?
Oh, I think you've manufactured crisis.
Please like, subscribe, and share. Progressive host Harry Sisson recently appeared on Tomi Lahren's show, where they had a wide-ranging conversation. The discussion ran for about an hour, so you can check out Tomi Lahren's channel if you want the full interview. Here, I want to zero in on one key topic that highlights a major divide between MAGA, Republicans, and much of the rest of the world, trans athletes. We'll watch some clips from the debate between Harry Sisson and Tomi Lahren, and I'll share my thoughts along the way. Let's dive in.
Should men play women's sports?
So wait, just to be clear, of all the topics in America right now,
I think it's an important one.
Of housing.
No, Harry, that's not what I asked you about.
No, I'm going to get to it. I'm just making a point broader.
I think it's important.
Okay, great. And I'm happy to engage with you.
Let's do it. Just to be clear, I think it's an important topic.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But what I'm saying to you is, of all the issues we have in the United States right now, housing prices, grocery prices, inflation, global conflict, domestic conflict, ICE, immigration, all these topics, one of the most important to you is men and women's sports.
Sure.
Okay. How many trans athletes are there in the NCAA?
Harry.
Do you know?
I asked you a question.
I know.
Should men play women's sports?
Do you know how many trans athletes are in the NCAA?
Too many. One's too many.
Do you know how many?
One's too many.
How many do you think there are? If you had to ballpark it.
You know, I think one's too many.
But if you had to guess, how many do you think there are? I'm sure
there's probably, let's throw it out like 10 to 15 maybe.
There's less than 10.
Okay. So I think one's too many though.
Okay.
But I think you would like to see more.
No, I don't care.
You don't care at all?
No, I don't care. And here's why. First of all, there's less than 10. So this is not a widespread issue.
So why do they need to play in the women's sports then?
Well, I'm happy to engage. I'm just happy to get, I'm just making a broader point right now that number one, this is not a big issue.
Okay.
And if there's 10, less than 10 actually.
LGBTQ is not a big issue to you?
No, again, it's just a straw man.
You don't care about LGBTQ?
What are you doing right now? This is crazy straw man. I've not said I do not care about LGBTQ.
You said that there's so few of them, it's not important.
Yeah, in terms of what you're trying to argue, that it's like it's a plague on American society. I care about LGBTQ plus. Obviously, I didn't say
what's the plus, by the way? I never knew what that was.
I mean, there's other identities, whatever.
Like what?
I don't know. You just go down the list. I don't know. Go look it up.
What is the plus? I'm not an expert in this.
Neither am I. I'm not an expert in plus.
But you said the plus.
Yeah, because I know that there are plus.
So you think it's just like a random
Let me just
thing?
get back to the broader point. There's less than 10 in the NCAA.
Okay.
I don't think the government should be legislating on this. I think it should be up to the individual athletic bodies. And here's
Same thing with Title IX. Do you think that some schools should admit female athletes and some shouldn't?
Title IX in
terms of like women's sports.
Women, what do you mean in terms of admitting?
Okay, so
I'm just not familiar with what you're asking.
What you're saying is that you think that each school or each state should decide?
No, I think each athletic body. So like the NCAA or the NBA or whatever, they should have their own regulations.
So then, do you feel the same thing about how they apply Title IX?
But how are you applying?
I'm saying, like, if you think that each body should decide, would you have a problem if the NCAA said we're not going to do women's sports anymore?
I mean, yeah, I'd have a problem with that. But I mean,
you said they should be able to apply
Title IX as like, are you asking me, do I want NCAA to take over Title IX in its entirety? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm saying that if you think that each body should be able to decide, because that's what you're saying here.
Yeah.
Then do you think that each body should be able to decide how they're going to honor Title IX?
I mean, so again, what are you
So Title IX was designed to protect and to create a space for women in sport.
Sure. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I think it's fine for the government to be involved in that. But when it comes to these independent bodies, I think in terms of who can compete, it's up to them. I mean, they already have regulations on who can and can't compete. If you're not in college, if you're 30, you can't go back to the NCAA, right? So they have their own regulations. I think it's up to them to figure it out. I don't want politicians figuring it out. I don't think that Republicans or Democrats in Congress have any better sense of this issue than you or I. I think we should leave it up to doctors and the doctors that work in these independent athletic agencies.
What are the doctors going to tell us?
I don't know. Talk to the doctors.
What a
We're
woman
not doctors. We're not doctors.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but I know what a woman is.
Sure, great. But doctors have far better insight on this.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because every Democrat that I ask about this, they get very upset. And I think they get upset for two reasons. Some of the liberals that I talk to, they get upset because LGBTQ is very emotional for them. So that's one reason that they get upset, because they're very concerned about trans people. So that's one reason they get very upset.
Fair. I think
and the second reason, and the second category they think that you fall into, is that they know that it's absurd and they don't want to answer for it.
What's absurd?
Men and women's sports.
No, I've said this time and time again.
Should men be in women's sports,
I've said
Harry?
this time and time again. Well, okay.
Should they?
More nuance. Is the government legislating this, or are you just asking a philosophical question?
I'm asking you in general.
Yeah,
should men play in women's sports?
I just don't care.
You don't care?
No, I don't care at all.
So you don't care about women's sports? You don't care about the integrity of women's sports and spaces?
I don't care about the less than 10 athletes in the NCAA who are trans and want to play sports. Like, you live once. Go play soccer. You want to play soccer? Go play soccer. I don't care. Go play soccer. I genuinely don't care. There are bigger issues in this country to focus on than the less than 10 athletes in the NCAA and these like individual cases in the individual states that Fox News loves to bring up. It's just not a widespread issue.
Do you think that we have to cover men taking accolades, accomplishments,
Yeah,
spots,
I
and
think Fox News
scholarships
does
from,
like that, yeah.
you think that we have this issue?
Yes.
You think we wouldn't prefer if men would stay out of women's sports?
No, I think you guys at Fox like covering it.
Do you think that we created it?
Oh, I think you've manufactured crisis, yeah.
Do you think that we said that men should play in women's sports so that we could cover it?
No, I'm not claiming that.
Why are men playing in women's sports?
I mean, I think society has evolved in our understanding of gender and sex, and we have new medication that changes people's hormones and things like that make them more aligned with their desired. What?
You're in favor of that?
Hormone therapy?
Yeah.
The same hormone therapy we've had for 30 years before this?
So you think that children should be taking puberty blockers?
Children were already taking this before anything involving trans.
Please
I want to stop here because they're getting into a separate issue outside of the trans people in sports. Tomi Lahren says here that there are two ways that Democrats look at this. That either, they have to support the LGBTQ community, or they know it's absurd and they don't want to admit that. And I think the third option, which is what is really happening, what Harry Sisson is saying, and what I believe in too, is that people just don't care about this. MAGA and Republicans have made this into a huge issue, which it is not. And my grandmother had a great expression. I don't think she created this, but I haven't heard anybody else say it. Gag on a gnat and swallow a camel, meaning this is what MAGA does all the time. They will get super worked up about these tiny issues and then completely ignore gigantic problems in our society. And trans people in sports is not a big problem in our society. Harry Sisson points out the numbers, and Tomi Lahren says, well, one is too many. And they treat this the same way they do immigrants in the country committing crimes. So, they always throw out Lake and Riley. That's kind of their one example of where somebody was harmed by somebody who was here illegally, and they just pound on that one example, and it's like, well, one is too many. And they do the same thing with trans people and trans athletes. The difference is they're not committing any crime. Now, in the mind of MAGA, it's a crime that they're playing in women's sports, but they're not doing anything criminal. They're just trying to compete. And also, when they talk about, what Tomi Lahren talks about is one is too many. When we're talking about K through 12 education, we're talking about actual children here. And literally, I know Ohio is a state, West Virginia is a state, where in those states, they wrote legislation because of one student, one kid, one child in an entire state. I'm going from memory on this, so I may not get this exactly right. I want to say it was Kentucky, but there was some state where they had written legislation, and the governor there was going to veto it based on one child, I think in the 8th grade, who was trying to create a lacrosse team in her school so that she could make friends, and they wouldn't allow it because she was trans. Think about how cruel you have to be to do that to a child, to write